Okay, I think we should be live. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
How is everybody doing? I want to check on here and see if it's broadcasting through. We're here with Olivia. Here we go. I think we're live.
Okay. And did you want to mute your camera so people can't see you when we practice?
Yes. Let me give us a little introduction really quick. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Melody. I am the chair of YPN this year, and we have some creative ways that we can all still be together during this time. Our committee members, Olivia Reed, is a certified yoga instructor, and what a better way to bring us together and do some yoga to wake up together. So Olivia is going to take us through her class. Olivia, thanks so much for doing this. She's an instructor with Sage Yoga Studios in Bonsall and Fallbrook. So once we can all be back together in person, you definitely want to go to Olivia's class, but now we have one virtually. So thanks for joining us. Give us a like or a comment if you're here, and I'm going to turn things over to Olivia and turn off my camera so that nobody has to watch me struggle. Awesome. Handing it over to you now, Olivia.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. If you're new to yoga, welcome. I'm going to take you through an all levels flow. So I'm going to have different levels of difficulty, or I should say challenges. You have the option to take them or to not take them. I also offer modifications. One thing I want to let you know is if you've never taken Shavasana before, at the end of class, we always at the end of class, we always do a Shavasana, which is a 5 minutes of rest. And I encourage you to take that. I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'm also a real estate agent, so I know that your time is very sensitive to you. So try to take that full 5 minutes of rest near the end. It allows your nervous system to sort of balance back out after working out for the next hour, and resettle your breath. Without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start with some breath work. So feel free to start to close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, gaze a few inches down away from your knees on your mat. And just start to tune in to your own breath work. Hands can be palms facing down on your legs or palms facing up. Palms facing up is more energy receiving. You're going to feel more energized. Wherever you're at with your breath, just notice what's going on. Where is your breath coming from? Feel free to place one hand on your lower abdominal and just feel if you feel the breath moving in and out of your belly. No judgments here. We're going to have fun. We're going to play with a little bit of arm balancing throughout class and stretch and de-stress, which I know we all could use some de-stressing right now. See if you can sit just a little taller in your spine. And then soften those shoulders. We try to hold our tension in our shoulders, soften them, roll them down your back. And take a few more breaths in and out of your nose. We're balancing out our nervous system before we get started with our breath. Breath is a very important part and practice of yoga. It's more important than the actual poses. So pay attention to the cueing of the breath throughout class. Usually we exhale when we're holding any type of tension in a pose. I have a little theme to carry with you throughout class. So it's the theme is breath and breathing, which means to pause and to rest before continuing. So before we go to the next pose, you're going to take a pause, mentally prepare with your breath, and then continue. I'll encourage that throughout class. See if you can sink your sit bones into whatever you're sitting on just for these last few rounds of breath. Inhale, feel the breath move up and down the chest. Exhale, sink a little deeper in your seat. Feel free to keep your eyes closed. We're going to start to work the neck. So take your right ear and drop it down towards your right shoulder. Keep breathing into the side of your neck. See if you can feel the breath move up and down the spine. Keep softening your shoulders. And sitting just a smidge taller. The taller you sit, the more breath flow you get. On your next inhale, slowly take your head to center. Wait for your exhale, take your left ear to your left shoulder. Notice if one shoulder comes up, try to drop them down. Pause and rest before continuing with your breath. And slowly bring your head back to center. This time we're going to tuck our chin towards our chest. Be sure to sit tall here. Don't round forward when you put your head forward. Keep the shoulders neutral. Just draw the chin towards your chest. And then play with the movement of the neck. Maybe take the head left to right. See what's going on in your neck and your shoulders this morning. Another option is to take the weight of both hands and just gently place them at the back of the head. Draw the elbows down towards the mat and let gravity do its work. Again, sitting tall. Nice long inhales and exhales. And slowly release that with your next inhale. We're going to go ahead and come to our knees. So I know a lot of you, maybe runners, because there's a lot of running in Southern California. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to our knees and you're going to reach back and open up your toes. The bigger the gap, the more of the stretch you're going to get. And you're going to open up, create a lot of space between the toes. Feet are going to be together. And I want you to start with your knees out pretty wide as is comfortable for you. The closer the knees are together, the more intense the pose. So with your toes out, flared open, sit back on your tailbone, nice and tall, soften the shoulders. Your shoulders are really going to want to scrunch up towards your ears during this pose to relieve pressure. Try your best to keep the shoulders down. And then come to that breath. Breathe. Feel free to close your eyes. We're going to hold this for at least 2 minutes because this is opening up the fascia of the feet, which in turn opens up the fascia throughout our body, preparing us for the various poses we're going to go through, like downward facing dog. If you feel like you need a breather, just gently lean forward, give yourself a pause, and then come back. Try to roll the shoulders down and back. Keep your chin neutral, just so that you're keeping your spine upright. And breathe. And if you want more intensity, if you're not feeling it here, bring the knees closer together. This is really good for plantar fasciitis and preventing any runner's injury in the future or any other type of injury used from being on your feet all day. Slow your breathing down. Notice if it's rapid. Try to slow it down and equalize your inhales and exhales. Keep breathing. Again, you can always come forward and take that pause if you need to, and then come back into it. Try to smile through it so that you're not focusing on what's going on in your lower body. More than anything, I want you to have fun throughout class and take your mind off of work and whatever else is going on in your life so that you can de-stress. If you do have a pair of blocks, I do encourage you to use them and have them at the top of your mat. You can use other things around the house to substitute a block. Let's slowly start to come forward let's get some blood pumping back into our toes by tapping the tops of the feet. So tap the tops of the feet. Come back to your knees. We're not going to sit on our toes this time. You're just going to relax your seat onto your knees. If that feels uncomfortable, you can always place the blankets behind your knees and sit on the blanket. We're going to open up the chest because this is the morning and we need some energy. I need some energy. So we're going to take our hands behind our back. Fingertips are pointing away from the body. Sitting nice and tall, as tall as your body will allow. Roll those shoulders away from the ears, down and back. And then we're going to gently take the chin towards the ceiling with our inhale. As you exhale, you can gently pull the chin to neutral. And inhale, take it towards the ceiling. Go with your breath. I'm just your guide. Feel free to hang out in one or the other with your head up or your head down. For these last few breaths, do your best to draw your chin towards the ceiling. Make sure you're supporting yourself with your hands so that you're protecting your lower back. And just breathe here for 2-3 breaths. 2 or 3 breaths. Feel your chest starting to expand, your collarbones are separating. I know it's not the most comfortable pose first thing in the morning. To unwind, slowly bring the chin towards your chest, round the upper back, and you're just going to pause here in this rounded position and bring your chin towards your chest. This is to counter our pose. And then meet me on all fours. So we're going to come into all fours, hands and knees, and start to take our cat-cow float. If at any point throughout class, I'm not going to offer child's pose many times throughout class, maybe once or twice, but if you need that child's pose, because we're going to get going pretty soon, you can take your knees out nice and wide, sink your hips back, reach your hands forward. That's one way to rest. Or you can bring your knees together, send your hands back. That tends to be less active when your hands are back and your knees are together. Let's come to all fours. And we're going to start our cat-cow flow. So this is a great exercise for warming up your spine. I like to start, I don't start like normal instructors. I start with a breath with neutral spine, and inhaling breath, neutral spine, and then I start with my cat. So let's do that. Prepare your breath, taking an inhaling breath. Feel the breath come up from your lower belly all the way through into your chest. And then on your exhale, we're going to start the movement from our pelvis, start to round the spine up towards the ceiling, one vertebrae at a time, and then drawing your chin towards your chest. On your inhale, you're going to unwind from the base of your spine, lower your belly towards the mat. Shoulders are going to roll back and gaze is just gently going to come forward. We're going to take 3 or 4 rounds of those. Exhaling as you round the spine up towards the ceiling. I like to come to my fingertips. And inhaling as you lower the belly towards the mat. So notice what's going on in your spine. Try not to make the movement come where you're dropping the head and the tail at the same time, but it's one fluid motion. Like think of your spine as a wave. Slowly curling up one vertebrae at a time and then lowering the head. Uncurl the spine. Nice and slow. Feel free to move within the pose. I like to sway my hips left to right and cat. Come back to your neutral spine. And let's start to take our first downward facing dog. So if you're new to yoga and downward facing dog is new to you, feel free to drop to your knees, take a pause, maybe stretch the wrist out because it's a lot on your shoulders and your wrists. Take your hands about as wide as your shoulders, and you're going to come into a plank position because you don't want your dog to be too long or too short. So plank position is a good position to let you know whether or not you are the correct distance for downward facing dog. You're going to send the sit bones high. Bend the knees deeply because this is the first downward facing dog of class. And we're trying to create length in our spine. More than anything, we want length in our spine. It doesn't matter what's going on with the knees or the feet. From there, if you're feeling like you need a little extra, you can start to straighten the legs and draw the heels towards the mat. And start to walk out your dog. So pedaling out the feet, left to right, whatever feels good. I personally like to shift my weight to one foot and really extend into a calf stretch here in my downward facing dog. So do what works for you. We're going to slowly take our right leg up into the air, bend the knee, and then we're going to stack the hips. So try to get the hips to shift one on top of the other and start to make circles with your ankle. Notice what's going on in your arms. Are your arms sharing equal weight? They should be. Reverse the direction of the ankle. And slowly bring the foot back down towards the mat. Switch out the feet. This time, left foot into the air. Bend the knee, stack the hips. Take those circles with your ankle. Come back to your downward facing dog. Feel out the pose. Maybe wiggle the hip side to side. And then we're going to take our first chaturanga together. So you're going to roll forward to a high plank. And then keeping the elbows bent towards the body, lower down to chaturanga. Come all the way down to the mat. Inhale up for cobra. So keep your feet together, squeeze the glutes as you come into cobra, and you're rolling the shoulders back again. Gazing forward. You take this as much as you want because this pose is kind of extreme on the lower back, so you can be lower. You don't have to be as high as me. Feel the stretch all along your back. Feel free to look up. Gently lower yourself back to that chaturanga and push back into your downward facing dog. Nice and slow, take your time. No one's looking at you, doesn't have to be perfect. This is your practice, no one else's. Let's start to warm up the body a little more. So we're gonna roll forward to a high plank. Exhale back to a downward facing dog. Let's do that 2 more times. So roll forward to a high plank, come onto your toes, shift the weight forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more time, inhale, roll forward to the top of your high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. From here, find your way to the top of the mat. So however you need to get there, you can walk to the top of the mat. You can frog leg it and hop to the top of the mat. However you need to get there, but we're gonna pause at the bottom into a malasana. So whenever you get to the top of the mat, however you get to the top of the mat, take your feet pretty wide enough so that you can get your heels pretty close to the ground. We're just gonna start to walk out the hips. We're gonna work on a lot of balancing today. I'm gonna challenge you with your balance. I just encourage you to try, that's all. Just try and be intentional with your movements. So whenever I say activate the fingers or toes, spread them, they help with balance. And again, have fun. From here, try to sink your tailbone towards the floor. See if you can bring your hands to prayer and push your elbows out. into your knees, and then at the same time, you're pushing your knees into your elbows. So you're staying active in the legs and the lower body. Elongate your spine and your neck. So draw the head up, keep the shoulders down, breathe. Hold here for your breath. Maybe you shimmy side to side. If your body's calling for that. Breathe, pause and rest before continuing. I'm going to offer a little bit of a side stretch from this position. So you can take your left hand down towards the mat. And you're still pushing that elbow into your knee. See if you can start to take the opposite hand to your opposite knee and just twist in your body, trying to draw your heart towards the ceiling. That's just the first step. And you can stay right there. You don't have to go any further. If you want to go further, you can start to take the hand up towards the ceiling, reach, spread the fingertips intentionally. And then as you exhale, start to reach the hand behind the back. Maybe you can bind to the opposite hand. That's in your practice. If not, don't worry about it. Slowly unwind, shimmy side to side, and we'll take to the other side. So I do a lot of hip works in my classes because that's what tends to age the most some people. So we're trying to do our best to keep us young longer in our body. One side's always a little more difficult for me than the other. You might find the same for yourself. Keep drawing your tailbone down. Slowly come back to center. And then we're gonna start to rise up. So feet are gonna turn back towards one another. Take your time coming up. Nice and slow. You can round the shoulders and roll your body up. And when you get to the top, let's take some shoulder shrugs. So the shoulders are gonna come up towards the ears, and then gravity is just gonna let them fall down. So let's do that 2 more times. Inhale up towards the ears. Exhale, let it all out. 1 more time. Hold, squeeze that tension. Exhale, let it out. So that's letting the blood flow back into our body. New oxygenated blood. Oxygenated. Okay, here comes some balancing. I'm gonna take a side view now. So we're gonna stand nice and tall and sink into a chair. So notice what goes on with your back. Glutes are gonna be very engaged. I like to start with taking a bend in my hip crease, leaning the heart forward for my chair pose, then bending the knees so that my knees stay over my ankle, then sinking my sit bones back. From there, maybe I can bring my hands to my heart and then tilt the body up towards the ceiling, the chest. Gaze is forward, breathe. If you can, sink just a centimeter lower, keep breathing. From there, slowly rise up back to standing. Hinge at the hips and take another forward fold. Pausing at the bottom. Feel free to bring your feet hip distance. And I like to sway left to right, bending my knees side to side, especially in these beginner folds because my body's pretty tight, my hand knees are pretty tight. Maybe reach for opposite elbows and let the head dangle. Release the hands if they're bound. Inhale, halfway lift, so that's flat back. Hands come up towards the knees. Back is flat. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, rise all the way back to standing. We're going to come back to that chair. So feet together. And keep that lower core engaged, glutes engaged. Sink into your chair, hands to heart center if you can. We're going to twist our body towards the left, so towards our left leg. If we can, try to get that elbow down towards the knee. If you got that connection, here comes some balancing. So this is going to be quite a bit of balancing. Keep your blocks, if you have them, at the top of your mat. Start to rise that left foot up. You're standing on your right leg, nice and slow. That connection with your elbow is met. Start to reach your left hand back for balance. Spread the fingers. Reach for your toes. You can stay right here. You don't have to go any further. Or you can start to kick your foot into your hand. A bent knee's fine. You're working on your balance. You don't have to make it all the way out straight. This is your practice. As you exhale, release, we're going to come into a warrior three. So foot's going to come back, left foot is back. Turn the toe, big toe down, hands come back for airplane arms. Inhale the arms forward. Exhale back. One more time, inhale forward. Exhale back. From here, we're going to bring our hands, if we can, bend that right foot. Draw your hands to either the floor or your block. We're coming into a half moon, so this is a very challenging pose. Don't be upset if you fall. Right hand stays on the floor or the mat. Keep that right leg bent. We're going to start to bring our left hand to our hip. Left foot stays flexed. Start to rotate your hips open, chest open. If you feel balanced, left hand can come up towards the ceiling. If you're feeling extra frisky, bend that left leg, reach your hand for your foot. To come out slowly with control, bend the standing leg. Come on up nice and slow. We're going to land our feet in a pyramid stance. So pyramid stance, left foot's going to face forward, right foot is going to turn out 90 degrees. We're going to take our hips and set them to the left. Imagine someone's putting a foot right on your hip crease. So keep letting that hip come back. Hands will start on the hips. And then keep length in your spine. So avoid crouching. I see a lot of that in side angle pose and triangle. Do your best to keep long. If you want to take it a little further, reach your right hand out. Send that hip a little further back. Keep reaching forward and then plant that hand down. Make a connection with your leg or maybe all the way to the floor. If you want a little more, you can take that left hand, drop it back for opposite hip crease and roll the shoulder back. This is just an option. Keep breathing, keep sending your left hip back. Take your breath. Feel free to let your head dangle, as long as that feels okay on your neck. So come up, reach your left hand right in line with your shoulder. Wait for your inhale, slowly rise up. We're going to exhale and reverse that pose now. So right hand or left hand's going to drop back. Right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Reach for length. Exhale, start to bend back towards your left leg. Again, we're creating space. So spread the fingers, reach the top arm, and engage your glutes to protect your lower back. Inhale to center. Exhale back to your triangle. So we're going to do what I call flow it out. So as we inhale, we'll come up. As we exhale, we'll go back or down. So inhale at the center, exhale, always come down. We're moving within the pose so that we can loosen up our joints. Sometimes holding it causes more tension than it does fluidity. Go with your breath. Keep allowing the hips to move side to side, like we're doing the floss. Slowly come back to center. Now we're going to take our feet out nice and wide. So feet are going to be about 45 degrees. And then I like to take an extra wide stance because the wider my stance is, the less I have to bend my knee. Heels are going to come fairly close to the insides of our thighs and sink low for goddess. Keep pushing your knees out. Protect your ankles and your knees. Hands can stay on hips if this is feeling difficult. Try to sink a little lower. Breathe. Full lower body's engaged. So I'm going to take a side angle. You guys stay where you're at. But notice what's going on in your lower back. I don't want an old booty popping. Suck that booty in. Squeeze it tight. Lower core is engaged. And your knees are pushing out. So avoid the knees coming in. Keep breathing. Hold. Hands can start to come to prayer. Let's see if we can take them to cactus. If we can, exhale to close. Inhale to open. So really open. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. 2 more times. See if you can open the chest a little more. Draw the elbows back. Straighten those legs. Turn the toes parallel to one another. Hinge at the hips and let's take a wide forward fold. So you can stay here at parallel if you don't feel like you can go any lower, or start to walk your hands down your legs. Reach for a block or reach for the floor. Let the head dangle as long as you're not feeling too dizzy. If you are, bring your head back up to heart, over the heart. I like to reach for opposite elbows and sway it out. Few rounds of breath here in your wide forward fold. If your knees feel pretty tight, go ahead and give a little micro bend to the knee. The wide-legged forward fold really releases your sacrum. So that bone at the base of your spine that a lot of injury tends to happen at, this is releasing and stretching that. To come out, slowly bring your fingertips to the floor. Bend the knees, inhale, slowly rise all the way up. Take your time. Hands can come up if that feels nice. And as we exhale, we're turning the right foot back out to 90 degrees, coming into a warrior two stance. So my hips aren't going to move. They're going to still face forward. Feel like that's going to change. My knee's going to bend. You need to play with your stance. You might need to bring this back leg out further or the front leg out wider. Hands will start at hips. Same thing going on with your glutes in this pose. You're squeezing them forward like you did in Goddess so that your back is staying up straight. Hands can start to come out to the side. Be intentional, spread those fingers and reach. Gaze is over the middle fingertip. Check that front knee. Is it coming in? Push it out. Breathe. Pause and rest before continuing. Sink a little lower in that front knee. Breathe. As you inhale, slowly give that front leg a break. Exhale back into it. We're going to come forward with that right hand and really reach in the torso. And then exhale. See if we can bring that right elbow to our knee. If we can, I don't want you to slouch into the elbow. Push the elbow out of the knee. Left hand can stay on your hip, or you can start to take it up towards the ceiling. Palm faces down. Maybe you take it over and really feel the pull from the hip all the way through the fingertips. Breathe. If a bind is in your practice, start to take the right hand underneath your leg. Back hand comes back and around, and you're rolling the shoulders back. Keep breathing. To come out, slowly come back to your warrior two. Exhale, reverse. So hand can come to lower leg or lower back. Opposite hand can start on the shoulders or to send the elbow up. And then the arm can come back. Inhale to warrior two. Exhale, release that front leg. Back to warrior two. We're going to float out. So float to the side ankle. Inhale to center. Exhale, reverse. So go with your breath. Always inhaling at the center. Exhaling as you tilt. Do that one more time. Go ahead and straighten that front leg. Give it a breather. From now, from this position, your front leg is facing forward, the right leg. You're going to turn the back toes about 45. So left foot's going to come out. And I'm going to challenge you to do this. You take it to where you can. You don't have to come all the way down with me. We're going to play with our balance again. We're going to start to bend in our left leg. And as soon as our left leg starts to bend, our right foot our toes start to come off the mat. Sinking low into your ninja. You don't have to get all the way down here. Just attempt to where your level is at. Inhale, rise back up to warrior two. And then pivot on that back foot. Let's go ahead and bring it to a low lunge. Left foot is bent. Left knee is bent. In the back. If you have your blocks, feel free to use them throughout this next phase of poses. So I'm going to offer a couple of options. If you have your blocks, go ahead and use them because it creates a lot of space for your torso, for your spine. If you don't, try to do your best to follow along and reach your right hand for the floor. With your right hand to the floor, stretch up your left hand towards the sky. And then we're going to go for a quad stretch. So we're going to attempt a quad stretch together. The more space, the more height you have, so that's with the block, the easier it is to get to that back leg and pulling the heel towards the glutes. So that's what we're trying to stretch is our quad. It's a little more challenging with your hand on the ground. Some of you might not be feeling anything. If you're not, maybe you drop to a forearm. To release slowly, let your foot come back down. Let's take a lizard pose. So for lizard pose, left knee is going to come back for a nice long stretch. Feel that left hip flexor start to open up and expand. Right foot's bent, right knee is right over the ankle. You can stay here with straight arms, or you can start to lower down to forearms. Do your best to keep your back and your head looking forward. So avoid looking directly down. That's going to cause a lot of pressure in your head and your neck. Some of you might want to take that back knee off the mat and rock forward and back gently. Slowly lower down. Bring that front foot to the back. Take a chaturanga flow. Or meet me in downward facing dog. So chaturanga flow, high plank, low plank. Upward facing dog or cobra. Upward facing dog, your thighs are off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. Let's go for a little bit of a back bend stretch. So we're going to bring our right foot through, past our left foot, and see if we can shimmy the weight, pivot the back foot so it's parallel. Start to extend the right leg straight and reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. As best you can. Lower body's engaged. To come out, slowly bend the knee and the standing arm. Come back to your downward facing dog. Shake out your hips. Same to the other side. So left foot's going to come through, straight legged. And you're going to pivot onto the back foot and reach the right hand towards the ceiling. Slowly come back to your downward facing dog. Find your way to the top of the mat. If you're working on floating, bend the knees deeply, look forward, and gently hop forward. So we're coming back to that Malasana squat just for a moment. Shimmy out the hips. For Malasana squat, you don't have to get down this low. If you're really struggling with it, you can be up. It's just going to be a lot harder on your hammies. If you have a block, you can always sit on it. Just gently so that your knees have a breather. Slowly start to come to standing. Bring those feet parallel to one another. Take your fold one last time. Inhale, slowly rise up. Bring your hands with you. From here, you're going to clasp your fists together. Point the index fingers. And really reach towards the ceiling. Feet are together. We're just going to loosen up the hips. So we're going to take the hips, start by taking the hips left to right, and then try to make a circle. And then move your arms with them. Keep your lower body engaged. Reverse the circle. And slowly let the shoulders fall down. We're coming into that chair pose, twist on the other side. So I'm going to switch directions on you guys. You're going to twist. You're going to take your chair position, hinge at the hips, send the sit bones back. Try to keep that knee in line with your ankle. Hands at heart. This time we're twisting towards the right. Left elbow comes down towards the right knee. Keep pushing out. Let's see if we can start to shift our weight to the left leg, bring the right leg up. Nice and slow. Use your hands, push into them for balance. When you're ready, right hand comes back, spread the fingers. See if we can lift, reach for our bottom leg, for our right leg. Feel free to go no further. You can stay right here or start to extend that right foot out. Breathe. Exhale, warrior three. Send your foot back. Big toe points down, hips are in line with one another. Inhale, the arms forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. This time we're inhaling forward. Start to bend that standing leg and reach for the floor or your block. Coming into that half moon pose. Once you get there, start to rotate the hips open. Right foot stays flexed. Right hand starts to come to the hip. Roll the right shoulder up and back. Hand comes up. And from there, we can straighten the standing leg. Option to go for that bind. Side's a little more challenging for me. Good thing I have a wall. Slowly release. Bend that standing leg to come out. Landing in your triangle pose. So triangle pose, you choose how wide you want it to be, whatever feels more comfortable for your hips. We're going to send the right hips back this time. Imagine that foot in the hip crease. Send them, make that stretch. Feel that stretch right here on the outside of your hip. Reach the left hand forward. Reach, 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 and then lower down. Right hand reaches up. See if you can sink just a little lower. Reach the fingers in opposite directions. On your next inhale, bring your hand in line with your shoulder, your right hand in line with your shoulder. Slowly pull the body up. Exhale, reverse. We're going to flow it out now. Inhaling to center, exhale. Inhale to center, exhale. Again, let those hips move. Come back to center. Take that goddess pose one last time. So take those feet nice and wide. Heels are far in. Sink your knees down low. Hands can stay on the hips, or we can start to bring them from prayer to prayer. From here, let's see if we can start to shift the weight from one foot to the other. So let's see if we can take our left foot off the mat. Go ahead and put it back down. Try out the right. Go back and forth. Play with the balance in the ball of each foot. Keep to your breath. How are you breathing now? Do your best to keep your breath slow. Last few rounds. Can we take both heels off the mat? If we can, sink a little or breathe. Keep the core engaged. Keep your glutes engaged. Can you take your hands out wide? Breathe. Keep those heels up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5, 1. Go ahead and lower down. Straighten the legs. Bring the feet parallel. Hinge at the hips. Take your forward fold. Bring your hands, your fingertips, come onto your fingertips. Inhale, halfway left. Exhale, pull. Bend the knees. Inhale, rise all the way up. Star pose. Exhale to your warrior two. So left foot turns out 90 degrees. Sink into that knee and then recruit your glutes. Reach and spread the fingers. From here, let's try to lean into that left arm as if someone's pulling the arm. So reach with your arm and then lower the elbow down. Right hand can stay on your hip, top of the shoulder, cactus, or reach all the way up. Go for that bind if it's in your practice. Only if it's in your practice. Slowly release that side angle, come into reverse warrior. Keep bent in that front knee. The lower your knee is, the more you can slide that back hand down. Inhale back to warrior two. Give that front leg a breather. Exhale, warrior two. Let's take that flow. Side angle. Inhale. Reverse warrior. See if you can take the stretch a little further each time, even if it's a microcentimeter, whatever that is, 1/4 of a centimeter. Slowly come back to center. We're gonna take that ninja pose now, straighten the front leg, straighten the left leg. We're turning the right toes out about 45 degrees, so you're kind of in like a wide goddess pose. And let's see if we can do it with balance. So hands at heart center, start to bend in that right foot, left toes rise, torso stays up and down. Inhale back to center, pivot the back foot so that you're on the ball and lower the knee down. Let's take our few stretches. So starting with that quad stretch. So if you want to just go right into the quad stretch, bend your knee and bring your heel towards your glute. You're making sure that the weight is on the front of the knee, so right above the knee, right in front of the patella and not directly on the patella. Or you can take that twist. Left hand will come down to the inside of the foot. Keep drawing the heel towards the glute. And you always have the option to drop to your forearm. It's really going to intensify the quad. Slowly release to come up. Let's take that lizard pose. Straight arms. Send that right foot back. Open up the hip. And kind of shift your weight forward so that you can feel into that stretch of the right hip flexor. Drop to the forearms if that's in your practice. If you're good right here, don't move. Last bit is to take the back foot's knee, the right foot's knee off the mat and shimmy forward and back. Slowly lower the knee back down. Take your chaturanga flow or just meet me in downward facing dog. Maybe you might want to take a child's pose for this, for in between the chaturanga flow. So high plank, roll to your toes. Exhale, keep those elbows bent in. Inhale for cobra. Exhale, curl the toes. Send the hips high, downward facing dog. Good work, everyone. Send the right foot high. We're going to bend the knee and try to get that knee up and in because we're bringing it in between our hands. However you need to get there, but do your best. We're lowering the back knee down. And then we're going to do a half split stretch. So if you have blocks, use your blocks. With the half splits, draw the toes to your nose. We're hinging at the hip crease, send the glutes back, the sit bones back. And you're leading with your heart, keeping your elbows by your side. Lower your head down towards your thigh. Feel free to waterfall the breath. So that means inhale, rise out a little bit. Exhale, sink further. Slowly come all the way up. See if we can drop the right pinky toe down towards the mat. So we're changing the angle of the foot. And then start to hinge at the hips, sink on down. From here, you can keep your body in the center, or you can start to play with walking the hands, walking the torso towards the right on the outside of the leg, and then on the inside of the leg. Play with what feels best to your body. What's your body calling for a stretch today? A little bit of both. Slowly bring your leg back to all fours. Before we go to the other side, let's see if we can play with a little arm balancing. So we've done a lot of Malasana. From Malasana, we can come into a crow's pose. We're almost done here, ladies and gentlemen. So for crow's pose, if you've never done it before, you plant your hands down, curl the fingers into the floor of the mat, and you're on the padding of your hands. So this whole part, except the middle, is touching the ground. Your fingertips are curled in, and you're bringing your knees to somewhere on the outside of your leg. You're trying to get them up pretty high. You're gonna lean forward, push your knees into your body so much that your body starts to lift up. You're gonna look forward and lean forward. So I don't know if you can see that from that side. Hug the knees in, lift the tailbone, then start to take the feet off the ground. And slowly lower back down. If you want to go a little higher for crane, your arms are going to come up higher, your feet are going to come a little closer together, and you're going to start to plant the knee on the back of the on the back of the tricep, not trap. You're going to bend deeply, grip the floor. A really key to these poses is looking forward. So really strong, look forward, and start to take maybe one foot off, and then the other, breathe. And then slowly lower back down. Let's come back to our downward facing dog. Take your time getting there. Left toes up, bend the knee, bring the foot all the way through. Lower the right knee down. Left foot stays flexed, toes are up, hinge at the hips. Let's take that stretch on this side. Inhale all the way up. Draw the left pinky toe down towards the mat. Do your best to get it there, and then start to hinge at the hips again, leading with the heart. So I want you to avoid rounding down. That's why you lead with the heart and hinge at the hip. And slowly with your breath, start to lower down. Maybe waterfall the breath or take it left to right. So inside of the leg or outside of the leg. Slowly walk the body up. If you want to play with the crow or crane one more time, now's your chance. And then maybe hop back for a chaturanga. Taking the legs nice and high. Squeeze and look forward. Hopping back for chaturanga. And then lower down. Cobra. Down dog. And find your way to the top of your mat. We're going to come back down onto our torso, onto our back. Knees are going to stay up as we settle into Shavasana. Take a last few poses to sort of counterbalance everything we've done. So take the right knee in towards the heart, so center of chest. Left leg's going to extend straight. Feel free to waterfall the breath, inhaling, releasing the knee, exhaling, pulling the knee tighter. Towards the center of the heart, it's going to release your sacrum. If you take the knee towards the armpit, it's going to open up the hip. Play with either. Start to bring the left leg in to meet the right. Give your knees a couple of circles. Left leg in, right leg out. Bring the right leg in, give the knees a couple more circles, massage the lower back out. And go ahead and place both legs onto the ground. Before we go into Shavasana, I want you guys to clench everything together. I want you to squeeze, make fists with your hands, curl your toes, shrug your shoulders towards your ears, engage every muscle that you can in your body. Hips, knees, calves, squeeze, squeeze everything tight, 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 squeeze, 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 release. I'm gonna let you guys enjoy your Shavasana for the last few minutes of class. I'll call you back just in time to release you. What we just did, it is squeezing together the body, it's oxygenating the blood so that when the blood comes back, it's rushing into your body. It's allowing you to heal faster because your blood is getting to those places a little faster than it would from not constricting. So constricting is pretty good for you. Okay, I'll stop talking so you guys can enjoy your Shavasana. Start to settle your mind and your body. Slowly allow for a longer inhale. Fill your belly with air. Start to extend movement to your fingertips and toes. Maybe shimmy your hips and wiggle your nose. Start to wake up the body. From here, bend the knees and roll to whatever side's calling you today, left or right, landing in the cradle position. And this position is the pose of gratitude. So you're thanking yourself for showing up today, putting in the time to take care of your body and practice. Slowly start to shift your weight to your top arm and push yourself up into your comfortable seat. Coming back into either a cross-legged position or on your knees. Let's do one last neck stretch, bringing your chin towards your chest. Gently sway the head left to right. Do your best to draw the shoulders down and back. Bring your hands to heart center. Chin is still tucked to your chest. Namaste is thanking one another for showing up today. So I thank you guys for being here. Hope you guys had fun, strengthened and stretched, and maybe we'll do this again soon. Namaste.